Former Sex and the City star Cynthia Nixon is running for governor in her home state of New York. She's running in the Democratic primary against the incumbent Andrew Cuomo. In a recent interview for Bustle, Nixon pulled no punches in talking about the state of politics and the Democratic Party. Erin Delmore conducted the interview and wrote about it for Bustle. She's the site's senior political reporter, and she joins us now. Erin, thanks so much for being with us.
Hi, Tanya. Thanks.
It's a little bit of a shift for some people who are used to seeing Cynthia Nixon on the small screen as an actress and thinking of her as a politician. Why did she tell you that she felt compelled to run for office?
She's part of a growing trend of first-time women candidates that we're seeing specifically this year. She told me that it was Donald Trump's election that pushed her over the edge, which is something that I've heard from many, many women candidates who are running in the 2018 midterms. Right. And she told me specifically that she's worried about future rollbacks to women's rights, to gay rights, to criminal justice issues. She frames a lot of this in her campaign as social justice, and she's really running on that platform now.
And so how does she see her celebrity in terms of now being a political candidate? Does she see it as an asset, or will it hinder her ability to be taken seriously?
She knows that she has the name recognition to be in this race and get the kind of media attention and attention from donors and potential voters that she couldn't get at if she weren't Cynthia Nixon. But she's also aware that Democrats are so wary of celebrities in politics right now on the heels of Donald Trump's election. So when I asked her that question, she said to me point blank, "There's nothing wrong with being a celebrity in politics. It's what you do with your celebrity." Then she went straight on and hit Donald Trump and said he is first and foremost a real estate developer, and says, meanwhile, for the last couple of decades, she's been working to reform public school funding. She has put 3 of her kids through public schools in New York City. She's been working on LGBT rights.
Right.
And she talked much more about her activism here. Really drew a sharp line between her candidacy and Donald Trump's.
And she is running on a fairly progressive platform, even for Democrats. Did she have a response to Democrats who worry that the party may be moving too far to the left?
When I asked her that question, she was visibly surprised. It was one of the most interesting and most candid moments in the interview. She said, "Are Democrats really saying the party is moving too far left?" And here's what I can tell you. According to the latest Quinnipiac poll, 15% of Democrats are worried that the party is becoming too liberal, too progressive in terms of something like a Bernie Sanders type candidacy. When you see these calls for government health care, Medicare for all, when you talk about fully funding university education, or now calls to abolish ICE.
Right.
All of these things are seen as the more progressive wing of the Democratic Party, and 15% of Democrats say it makes them uncomfortable. More importantly, just over 40% of independents say that they think the Democratic Party is moving too far left. At the same time, around 50% of Dems say that they could stand to see to go even more progressive.
Right, and it certainly does seem to be an energetic wing of the party at this point. We saw with the win of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and we know that Ocasio-Cortez and Nixon are campaigning together. They're helping each other out. Did Ocasio-Cortez's win give any fuel to Nixon's campaign?
Nixon will tell you herself that Alexandria's win injected new life and new energy into her campaign. There's this idea now that if Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez can unseat such a powerful Democrat who has held that seat for decades, then there's more of this insurgent candidacy, more of this progressive appetite among New Yorkers. Here's the thing. Even though Cynthia Nixon's campaign has seen fundraising go up and enthusiasm go up after Ocasio-Cortez's win, they are campaigning in the entire state of New York. This isn't just one district in New York City. She has to get out and be in these upper regions of the state that are more favorable toward Republicans.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, certainly the northern part of the state is a much more conservative section. How is her campaigning there going over?
She's up and back, especially when I speak to her team. She's doing a lot of events, even if she just goes up for a few hours and comes back. And we're seeing a few different things. She's making sure that she's showing her face, shaking hands, and doing grassroots level politicking outside of New York City. But she's also embracing this New York City side of her candidacy. I went to an event that was Sex and the City themed. It was held at Steve's Bar from the show.
I love it. So she's unapologetic.
She's unapologetic about it because it's working among younger people.
Right.
And when I go, I see people who are my age who would never, I've been covering Democratic politics and Republican politics for about 10 years now. I don't see people my age in rooms during fundraising events. So that's
true.
new.
What was your biggest takeaway from the interview with Cynthia Nixon?
She's running in this race as a serious candidate, and her candidacy has had an effect on Governor Cuomo's policies and policy positions. But it's not just this race. she can point to this trend line of women candidates, and she sees herself. She's very aware that she's an inspirational figure here for a lot of women who are taking the same steps that she took. And she told me at one moment, a lot of women don't think they're qualified enough to do this. They think that they need to be a best-selling author or an astronaut who's landed on the moon in order to do this. And it was so striking to hear one of the most accomplished women in film and in television and acting say this. She really spoke to this undercurrent of women talking themselves out of taking the plunge.
It does seem to be the year of the woman when it comes to new candidates. It's sort of exciting because we are seeing them support each other across, across races, which is it's fun to watch for sure. Erin Delmore, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.